All right, we're back. Uh, so, for all you tennis fans out there, there's not many of you guys. I'm a tennis fan, and this guy is definitely a tennis fan. Uh,
Definitely.
the French Open is in full swing. I mean, if it as compared to other opens, I will say this: as compared to other Grand Slams, uh, the French Open, just because of how fucking dominant Nadal is, it's like there's really not a lot to talk about. But I think there's been some decent drama with this one, like Osaka, like withdrawing, like not participating in the French Open. That was big news. Uh, Federer withdrawing. That was kind of big news to me after he won that match.
Yeah.
Seeing he was in decent form, it looked like, or it looked like he was in decent form. Seeing how it's been like almost 2 years or a year and a half since he last played, and I'm surprised that he retired from the tournament. So, anyways, with all that in mind, that gives us the backdrop for a more turbulent than usual, more drama laden French Open than usual in recent years.
Yeah.
So break it down for us, man.
Turbulent. I mean, that's you summed it up pretty well. Honestly, it's been pretty crazy how things have happened. It's been a lot of big names heading out of tournaments, but if you're a really invested and passionate tennis fan, it's been a pretty good French Open, I'd say. Got a lot of interesting names in there, and as well, on the women's side, you got Coco Golf getting into her first major quarterfinal, so that's definitely interesting. We're looking at her as probably the future hope of Americans women's tennis. That's definitely, and then again, also like another big name that we have to mention, like Serena Williams. She got beaten in straight sets,
Yeah,
fourth round. She went out, and so yeah, it's been wild. It's been very wild, but yeah. What are your thoughts?
I'm just looking at the way Nadal has just been dominating this, and like, I mean, he's gonna break Federer's record. I think it feels like, I will say, it does Medvedev have a shot?
Against Nadal, I don't think so. But so yeah, Medvedev, it's funny. The man actually has a very bad record on clay. He's That's clearly his worst surface. In the French Open, I believe, if I'm right, he's never gotten out of the first round. If not, the second would be his best finish in all his years playing in the French Open. And this year he's at the quarters, and he's playing Stefanos Tsitsipas. For all of you who don't watch tennis, this will be a very good match. I'll guarantee you that. They've never those matches. These two guys, they've never disappointed. It's always fireworks because there's some personal bad blood between the two, and so it's always fun to see. But I mean, regarding Nadal, the player he just played, Jannik Sinner, he was number 19 ranked in the world, and he was absolutely insane on clay earlier in the clay swing. He was just like, I think he might have won against Nadal earlier in the clay swing this year, and so it was just like he was on the rise, and we thought he was going to give like Nadal a run for his money, but Nadal absolutely crushed Sinner in straight sets. So just shows you how good he is at the French, virtually unbeatable. And so, no, I don't expect anyone to really like have any kind of challenge. Maybe Djokovic, that'd be like the only guy that you could probably put money on. So, yeah.
I guess the reason I brought it up is because I remember like Medvedev, if I'm not mistaken, he did beat Nadal on clay earlier this year.
Did he
So
really?
yeah, I think so. I remember seeing that, or at least someone telling me that.
Huh.
Uh,
Okay.
well, I was like over in California, watching with my grandparents. They're huge tennis fans, and I think that's they're telling me stuff like that. So, I mean, as a casual tennis fan myself, as compared to you, I watch like during the Grand Slams. I get invested during the Grand Slams. We all like to, I like to root for Nadal, and Dad likes to root for Federer, and we got all of our, the big three. We got our different players we root for. We just don't like Djokovic for some reason, even though I think, he's done so well throughout the years. So with that in mind, I guess I don't pay too much attention during the clay season, for example, like, what's happening. I just think of, well, Nadal's been so dominant on clay. It's just been fascinating to watch, but it feels so. With all of this in mind, though, it feels like Nadal is just going to do this again. So, right? He's going to probably.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was saying the only guy would be Djokovic, but he had a tough time against his fourth round match. I'm looking at that. Against
It's almost 5 sets, right?
that 5 sets, and Musetti had to retire in the fifth. I think Djokovic it's definitely his toughest tournament to play. He's had the least success at the French, but again, he's the guy that I think it's him and Robert Sterling in 2009. Those are the only 2 guys that basically beat Nadal in straight sets at the French. Like, that's never happened, but he's one of the guys that can do that. So, it's one of those things. It's like, can that happen? Yes, but I don't think he's in the form either to beat Nadal in, what we've seen. It's one of those, I'm not going to drop a set kind of years again for Nadal. And so he's not like having like any nagging injuries either. So I'm feeling like it's probably Nadal number 14 this time around again.
Because the time that, if I'm not mistaken, the time Djokovic swept Nadal was like Nadal was coming back from an injury. They met in like the quarterfinals, right? So this is clearly different, different Nadal back to his, prime ways. I mean, he's been back to it for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, literally. It's funny too. It's like Nadal didn't have a really good start to clay season this year. He lost at Monte Carlo, lost at Madrid, but he won at Rome, which is most similar to Paris. And so, that's like a good sign to come. But in terms of just like, I'll go back to Federer real quick.
Yeah.
One thing that, it's always like tough to say like, okay, why did he just withdraw from the tournament? Like that's really like, it's frowned upon, I guess, because, you're basically like robbing a guy of his spot in basically the quarterfinals to play against, another player in terms of winning a title potentially. But, it's one of those things, if you want to get to the next round, you have to beat your guy. And so, I feel like you could fault Federer for that. But then again, the other thing is that this year, the French Open got pushed back by a month. So things became a lot more jam-packed. And Wimbledon, as we speak, is less than 3 weeks away. And so if the French Open, if he played like, deep into the French, which could have happened, or he could have just lost next round, he would have been kind of behind in some ways for Wimbledon. And that's what Federer wants to target. At this age, you have to like pick and choose your spots. And so ultimately, I think he made the right decision for himself. He could have just not played the French, but then again, it's like funny how he's just using a major as a tune-up tournament. So, do what you say. But yeah.
I mean, it's been before COVID, if I'm not mistaken, he's used the French Open as like, he's usually bypassed the French Open or skipped the clay season because he knows like Wimbledon is a strong suit. He's getting up there in age. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. So he needs to rest his body, and he usually just takes off clay season, just focuses for Wimbledon and the hard courts. So I guess you're right. Maybe he was just using this as a tune-up, and at some point, that was it didn't encounter it. I know it, but it didn't cross my mind that, I mean, the French Open did get pushed back. I'm used to like talking about this so much earlier. And I guess Wimbledon is still when it usually is. So that's a fair point. So I guess that gives me, for example, some context as to why Federer will pull out. I hope, coming back from surgeries, also, he might not want to, put too much pressure on that knee. So.
Right. Absolutely.
But on the on the women's side,
Mhm.
what are your predictions? What's the landscape? Who do you think's going to win? Usually, women, it's kind of wide open,
Yeah.
right, compared to men. So
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm like trying to think. Women's is so wide open every year. It's really really hard to really like pinpoint someone. Like if Naomi Osaka was in the tournament, I don't know if I would pick her because she's not very strong on clay. But like she had some good form, so like she could be one of the people that you would like think about maybe and like ponder about. But like I think like even like traditional clay specialists, I mean like if I thought about like past champions, you had like Garbi Mutharuga. She's not, I don't think she's in the tournament at this point. So like I think really Coco Gauff has a very good chance. I'll say that right now. That being said, I don't want to put like too much pressure on her. I don't think, maybe it's still like, on her way ascending to, to a championship. This is her first Grand Slam quarterfinal. So,
yep.
it's a really significant step and, good for her. But, I think the opponents only get tougher from here out. And, like you got players like that just ousted Serena in straight sets. Like you got to play them too. It's like it's not easy, but yeah. And honestly, I haven't done enough research to really know who's like the favorite here. But then again, even research out here on the women's side, it doesn't really pan out. It's usually it's really hard, kind of like it's just a wild card and seeing who's going to win, and someone just comes out on top. So we'll see. Probably that's probably the way to say.
We'll see, man. Should be our new slogan, man. We'll see. All right, we'll see about we'll see. Man, I'm on a roll. All right, so I guess in anything more you want to talk about with tennis?
um, no, I think that's about it. Yeah, I think the only thing is, yeah, watch out for Djokovic. We'll see how that goes. Nadal, for sure, and then tune into Tsitsipas and Medvedev. That'll be good.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
Yep. All right. See you guys later.